Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Hope everybody's having a fantastic day. I am super, super excited about today's happy hour because we are going to be joined by the one, the only, the fabulous Miss Barbie the Welder. So hopefully she'll be joining us soon here. I'm mixing things up a little bit. I am actually at the shop today. Oh, there's Barbie. All right, let's see. Let's let her in. Technology, magic, and any moment now. Well, first of all, cheers, girl.
Breaking it. Here, wait, you said happy hour.
I'm at the shop, so I had to forego my usual whiskey to have the beer that was in the refrigerator. So
took my kids' beer. Shh, don't judge.
nice. All right, so I'm gonna take a quick moment, and we're gonna do a toast. I don't know if you heard or saw the news today that Jessie Combs, the Guinness Book honored her record that she set, and so I just want to take a second and dedicate this toast to Jessie, to her badassery, to her commitment to pushing herself to the limits and proving to the world that girls can too. And so
Yes,
here's to her and all the rest of the badass sisters out there. All right.
Oh my goodness.
So, how have you been?
Oh my God, I miss you so much. This is crazy. I've been waiting. I've been waiting for this. Like, I am so excited to see your face. Yeah.
I'm so excited to see your face too. And everybody out there who's joined in and is watching along, you know that a lot of times my happy hours are a little bit of chatting and a little bit of interviewing and a little bit of questioning. And I have a feeling, I'm going to go out on a limb here, I have a feeling that this is going to be a little more informal of a happy hour than some of the ones I've had in the past. But that's all right. I'm down. You guys are just going to come along for the adventure of what happens when Barbie and I hang out.
Oh my gosh, it's massive shenanigans. Like, literally the queen and the other queen of shenanigans.
So before we get into our shenanigans too much, for anybody out there who doesn't know Barbie the Welder, which I'm not sure how that's even possible, but for anybody who doesn't know Barbie the Welder, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about who you are, what you do in a nutshell. We'll go back and like talk about history and how you got your start and all the rest of that stuff later.
Like currently, like what I'm doing, or
yeah, who are you?
Oh my gosh, who am I? Who are you? I quoted Alice in Wonderland. Let's see. I speak 5 languages: English, profanity, movie quotes, sarcasm, and now TikTok. I'm new to TikTok. I've been welding for about 12, almost 13 years now. Full-time artist today. A little bit over, well, actually almost, I'm close to 6 years. I'm closing in on 6 years as a full-time metal sculptor. Got into metal sculpture from seeing the movie Castaway starring Tom Hanks. And there's like this 15-second clip of this woman that was welding these giant angel wings. And it just like, other than like saying that, I feel like I was struck by lightning. Like, I have no background in art, no background in business, no background in welding, and just was like, yeah, it's a great idea. Like, this is what I want to do with my life.
I love it. For those of you who don't know Barbie, like, she is one of the most hardworking women that I know. Like, sets her mind to something. And for anybody who's been watching all these happy hours, you kind of probably noticed a theme at this point. That all of the ladies that I speak with, like, they set their mind to something and then they go after it like full bore. They make it happen. And I love Barbie's story particularly because of how she started out and where she's come and where she's gone since she started out. Like, your story is amazing. It really is. You started out like, I want to do this thing. And then like to the moon, Alice.
I feel like that's relatable because I know your story, Bogi, and was it 2 years in your driveway, girl? 2 years building a business in your driveway, like working in her driveway. Like, we connect because of the work ethic I have such deep respect for you and what you did. Like,
I gotcha.
you've totally built like this empire from your garage. Like, I've got a garage. Like, I'm just like, oh God, my garage isn't big enough. And I'm like, my girl started her shit in the driveway with no garage. So like, I have no room to complain on stuff.
Eh, but I think that's what drives us, right? Like, I think it's important to recognize that it could be worse, right? To remember where we've come from, but also at the same time, always have that drive for more. Like, there's a fine line, I think, between being content with where you are and being grateful for where you are. So, like, I could be grateful and still want more.
Oh
And I
yeah.
think that's a hard thing to say. Like, yeah, I want a bigger shop. I'm still grateful as all get out for the shop I
Oh my
have because I've
gosh.
been there
Yes.
where I didn't have one. But
Absolutely.
so I saw somebody say that they don't know Barbie. So because we kind of glossed over that really quickly. So Barbie is a full-time metal artist, welder, extraordinaire. She's also an author. She's written how many books now?
Five
What?
books. 5 books in 5 years.
It was like three last time we talked. When did they like multiply?
I work fast. I just finished Honor Thy Art this year, teaching artists how to thrive emotionally and financially. To get that financial aspect of it, there's artists out there that are brilliantly talented, but struggle with the sales, the marketing, and the branding. And so I share in that one what I've done. And the thing is, just because it works for me, don't mean it works for everybody. But there's stuff in there that you can take away. And I teach you exactly like how to design a business that serves you and how to fund that, how to make it really like serve you financially.
Yeah.
So that's my newest one. And the one before that was how to weld scrap metal art. So it's my third welding one.
Nice.
So
So for those of you who aren't following her, make sure you go check her out after this and follow her. She does lives on the regular, and part of what I love about what Barbie does is that she's not just doing her thing. Like, she struggled, she put in the work, she got herself to where she is, but she's turning around and sharing that with other people. And she's super honest and open about stuff, and will share in her mistakes. She'll share her trials and tribulations. And I think that's really like a thing that's an issue with social media, right? Like, Barbie, you and I have talked about this a lot,
yeah.
and why I started doing my like F up Fridays, right? Is we need to share all of those imperfections and share the struggles with people. And I applaud you for doing that in such a transparent way.
Thank you. I think so many people look at social media and they see a sizzle reel. They see like all the highlights down, everything. Like I could take a picture and like 13 filters later, like I look lovely. You know, like the dirt smudge on my face is gone, and you know. And the thing is like, but that's not fucking. Like, can I swear? Am I allowed to swear on this? Am I gonna be in trouble?
You do you, boo. You do you.
But it's not freaking realistic. I'll watch it. I'll tune it down. It's not realistic. What you're seeing is filters. What you're seeing is 18 pictures. One is chosen out of that picture. And listen, I'm so guilty of this because I'm
I
just
think
like,
we all are.
we do want to put our best face forward, but at the end of the day, like, you need to understand, like, I go through depression, I go through anger, I go through frustration, I go through what the hell was I thinking with this business? What do I do next? Like, there's a lot of that. And I think by us being honest, I love your F Up Fridays. I'm like genius, like absolutely genius by showing everything and by being deeply honest and being transparent, right? So I think the transparency is so important because there's so many people that will. I can't imagine being like an 18-year-old and like at the time my super low self-esteem and like looking at people's social media and going, I'm such a failure. Like, I already was like in a deeply depressive state at that age. So jeepers, like, I mean, who knows what I would have done at that point, seeing that and being like, my life is ass, everyone else has got their crap together and I'm worthless. So
Yeah.
I think having the transparency, I think, is super important. But it also, like, we're people at the end of the day. We're absolute people. And I think sometimes I can speak for myself. Like, I've looked at celebrities online. I'm like, oh my God, like, you know, like fangirl on people. And I fangirled on you and I met you, like, oh my God, Bogi. And like you immediately are just like, you're so just pure you, down to earth and humble and hardworking and everything you want in a friend. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, but she's on TV, like all these things, you know, and it's just like, you've always been like true to who you are. And that's something that you've guided me in that. Like, you've never had to say anything. That's just me following what I've seen you do. And it's allowed me to be me. So when you're you, it lets me be, you know what I'm saying?
I appreciate
It
that. And I think
sounded
that,
like right up here.
no, but it's so true because I think that's what it is. Like when we find the courage in ourselves to act in spite of fear, right? I'm scared, I'm nervous, I might F up, I might do it wrong, I might look stupid, people might laugh at me. But when we find the courage to do that anyway, to act in spite of fear, it gives other people permission to do the same. And so even though you're like fighting your own demons, right? Like it always cracks me up when people are like, how did you find the courage to do X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, I was terrified.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like, I was dead terrified to do it. It wasn't about being courageous. It was about going, I don't have time for you, little demon. I'm going to go do this anyway, right?
I lie to myself and tell myself that the fear is actually excitement. It literally kind of resonates in your body in the same way. And it's that fear. It's just like, oh my gosh. But I'm just like, girl, you're just excited. You're not scared. You're excited. Like literally like bullshit my way through some stuff with that.
I love it.
What does my body know? It only knows that I'm telling it, right? Like, oh yes, you're very excited about this. Your excitement makes you want to vomit, but just keep going.
It's true. It's true. Well, and it's similar to, I had a mentor once tell me that like if you don't have a little bit of a pit in your stomach, then you're not doing it big enough, right?
Like that.
Like that is the sign that you're doing life right. And if you don't have a pit in your stomach, you're playing it too safe. And so it's a learning to embrace that. It's a learning to be like, ooh, I'm scared. Okay, let's go.
Oh yeah. I can't remember who said it, but they're like, feel the fear and do it anyway. And I know it's someone famous that said it, and it's a quote that I've thought of often because fear is something that has stopped me so many times in my life. And what's interesting, I just had a conversation, actually it was my live stream this morning where I was talking about like, I had fear about coming out. I had fear two massive times in my life. And one was coming out to meet you and work on the build. The other time was leaving my job. And what had happened was both times, like my parents are very loving. They're very security minded people. And I knew in my heart it was right for me to leave my job and be a full-time artist. Now, it wasn't like, I get what they're saying. Like, I get it. Holy shit, I get it. I really had no right, but we won't talk about that. But like, I knew it was right for me. And same thing with coming out to see you. Like, I had no right to leave my business for a month to come out to that build, but I knew in my heart that that was just what I was supposed to be doing. And both times my parents are like, Barbara, I get Barbara when I'm in trouble. Barbara, right. You're making a mistake, right? And the thing is, I was good. While I was in that moment, I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. But as soon as they start doing this in my ear, and listen, this is with love. They're not doing it out of like spite or anything else. They're doing it out of, they have glasses on. Well, they also have glasses on, but they have these glasses on that they see life through, that they're just like totally very security-based people. And for them to see me to finally start doing okay in my business and then walk away for a month, they're just like, you're bat crap crazy. Or like to leave a secure job.
It's fear.
It's their fear. And what ends up happening is like they literally translate that to you. I know for me, I'm like, I started questioning whether it was right or
she's so classy, guys. So classy.
It's just gonna get better. So like I just started questioning. I just started questioning what I was doing, because I'm like, at first I was like, yes, this is for like, I'm like, this is where I feel my truth, right? So I'm like, this is what feels right to me. And then they start like, Barbara, is this the right? You shouldn't be doing this and this. and like all of a sudden like their fear like really like starts permeating it starts seeping into my pores, baby. Like it starts soaking in, and then all of a sudden like I've got this fear, and it's just like it's not even my
Because
fear.
you start hearing the voice and you start not knowing whether it's your voice or their voice. And that's the thing about not just our parents or our friends or our family, but it's like everybody, it's society. And sometimes it's hard to distinguish between other people's fear and real fear, right? Or healthy fear. Because
They
a little
mean
healthy fear is a
well.
good thing sometimes. Yeah,
They mean well. They're not doing it to be rude. They're not doing it
sure.
to like crush me down. They're not. And I think many people in our lives have the best of all intentions, but they're coming from their fears or their low self-esteem or their just whatever, like
Yeah.
whatever their experiences are in their life. And the thing is, it's like they're putting it on you, and if you let people do, like, you should listen, and like maybe someone's got some good advice. Maybe there's something you didn't think of, like lots of stuff I didn't think of that they didn't even think of. But it's just that thing that's just like, just maybe take something they say into consideration, but like you've got to follow what your true north is. Like
Right.
you need to walk your path. Oh gosh, it's so easy for me to sit here and say like it was really hard for me to do, and like pushing through the fear, like to come out and see you. Same thing with the job. Like one of the best things I've ever done in my entire life. Like it was scary. Like I had no right to leave my business, but I knew it was the right thing to do. The mentoring that you gave me was like, I'm here because of that. Like having this and not just having this conversation. I teach through YouTube and through writing the books because you showed me that teaching is just like this beautiful gift that you can give to someone.
You're here because of what you've done.
You,
You've worked your booty off and
it's
you were
true that
willing
you
to take the chance.
inspired me. You inspired me in directions that I never would have taken had it not been for you. So I think we all have, like, we're all like at the beginning and end of the day, like we're all ourselves, but we all have like these little bits and pieces of people that touch our lives. And you definitely like this big bit that has touched my life that just, just you always inspire me, Bogi. And like you're always like your mission to serve the automotive industry and to make it accessible for women. Um, God, like I wish there was a chart that showed exactly how transformative that is, like the ripple effect, right? I wish that there was a chart that showed the ripple effect of what you're doing. Because just thinking about just
And
one case
what
in
you're
point,
doing. And what you're doing. No, I think that's an
it's
important,
different from you though. It's like
but I
this
learned it
might
from
be different
somebody
from you.
else, right? But I learned it from somebody else. And I think that's the thing to come back to.
Yeah.
And that's the point for everybody listening is you don't always know who it is you're inspiring, who
Oh
it
yeah.
is you're giving permission to. I think I told you this story, Barbie, the day that I quit my job, and I'm sure similar things happen when you quit your job and you may or may not have known about it, but when I quit my job at the dealership and I was terrified, like puking in the bathroom, terrified, crying, hand shaking, the whole thing, because I had this genius idea that I was going to start my own business with $200 in my bank account like an idiot, right? Like I had no business starting a business. I feel you, girl, right? And I managed to hand in my resignation anyway. And later on that afternoon, this guy comes up to me who I'd worked with, but I barely knew. And he says, I heard you quit. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I'm happy to hear that. And I'm like, did you really hate me that much? Like, he's like, I wanted to thank you. And I'm like, what do you mean you want to thank me? He's like, I've always wanted to go back to college. When I heard you quit, I called my mom. I asked her if I could move home and enroll in school. I just handed in my resignation too.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it's like, you don't even know. Like, I didn't even know in that moment. I wasn't thinking about anybody else, right? I was thinking about my fear and my being afraid of taking that leap and getting over my nerves And I didn't even think that I was having an impact or effect on somebody else, but it's what we're saying through all of this is like when you dare to live outrageously, when you dare to take chances, when you dare to write 5 books in 5 years or quit your job and become a full-time metal artist, or whatever the crazy thing is that you dare to do, you give other people permission to do the crazy things that they want to do.
Yes. And like I love how you said you were like you weren't thinking of anyone else, you were thinking of you. And that's exactly what's happened with me is my mission was solely selfish. It was to make the metal art. Never did I think I would teach people. I mean, like literally I've gotten kicked out of 2 high schools in 1 year, and one was for the bad kids, okay? Like voted least likely to make it through high school, let alone like so it's wild. But again, like the mission was selfish, but you like and it happened, and I guess it happened organically. I didn't set out to be like, let me inspire people. I do it on purpose now, like hopefully do it on purpose. But yeah, like my path was the metal art, but what's so amazing is all the things that has come because of it. And like you said, because of facing your fear and doing the stuff anyways, there's been so many opportunities that have been opened up, just mind-blowing stuff that just like in a million years, like it's entrepreneurism, anything can happen, it's art, anything can happen. And it's really surreal to me. Like it's my life and it still doesn't like it doesn't feel, what I'm saying, like it still doesn't even seem real. Like you're kidding me, like I'm gonna do what today? Like
So I want to ask you a question. Like you've talked and you've been fairly open about your past, your childhood, your story, and and I think it's really important. Like similar to sharing our mistakes or sharing our whatevers, is sharing our history, where we came from, because I think it's really easy for younger kids, particularly, to say, oh, well, she or he was able to be successful because they started out with X, Y, and Z. And I could never do that because I don't have that, right? And I think it's important to share our stories of where we came from. But I also find it really interesting, like, what do you think it is in you? I'm trying to get to the heart of this, and I've asked so many folks this. What do you think it is in you that allowed you to take those experiences that you had as a child, those experiences that were least likely to succeed, right? Right? How did you, like, what was it in you that allowed you to turn that into the successful life that you have today?
gosh, that's so wild. So my whole biography is coming out. It's not a written one. It's Construction Brothers podcast did an interview with me, and they had the cojones to ask me for my whole story, and I love it because let's see, in that story is homelessness twice, drug addiction, drug sales. I stole a sailboat, went through depression. It's gone on. I've actually been in the psych center before because of cocaine dependency. So let's just like, that's just a quick, like, hey, what's going on with Barbie? Right. And that was all before I was 25, doing math in my head. I think that was all before I was 25. Um, was bullied like really bad as a kid, was homeschooled. My mom gave me my haircuts and made my clothes. So I mean, we're talking like it's literally was like the perfect storm for a perfect storm. Um, and from that, gosh, I always felt like a lone wolf and have never felt like I fit in. And I think that, which was the bane of my existence, because I did a lot of stuff to try to fit in when I was younger. What was the bane of my existence, what I felt was like this massive deficit, actually became a really great asset because I'm able to do all the things. And I'm used to doing shit by myself, and I'm used to holding it down. Um, the low self-esteem and the drug addiction and all the stuff I went through, like with the mental health issues, I'm so grateful for that. Like in the middle of it, like I spent years wanting to kill myself and thinking that that was normal. I didn't know until I got a little bit older that I was depressed and B, it wasn't normal to want to like just drive down the road and want to veer off into a tree. Literally just, it was part of who I was. And if you guys are here and you know me, like I'm like the happiest person that you've ever freaking met. And I'm like Mrs. Positive, Miss, because I'm not married, Miss Positive. And just, like total opposite day from what I was like as a kid and how I felt. And I'm so grateful for that. Like what I went through, it has given me like going through that, but also overcoming that. And really it is welding that has allowed me to overcome like the depression and the anxiety and all the shit that I went through like mentally. Welding is really, it's like the small little successes that I was having in welding. Like I get this wild idea that I want to do it, but as I'm having like these small successes, like, oh, you got your weld, you got like an eighth of an inch of a weld that actually looks good, that you didn't have to grind that one out. Like, but I mean, like it was starting to feel good, and like being able to save up for school, I mean, like that felt really good. Like there was no way I should have been able to save up. But having the successes built my self-esteem slowly over time. And that slow build, and it's a long game, like that foundation and having that has really allowed me to, like start to believe myself. And it's a welding that let me believe myself. Like I knew I wanted to be a sculptor, whether I believed it or not in the beginning, I don't know. Like none of the level of shit I'm doing. But all the hardships that I went through in my life, like being picked on and being bullied and getting beat up and spit on, like, dude, all I wanted to do was fit in. Like I spent like years just trying to fit in and doing whatever drugs that it took to fit in and doing whatever, and acting certain ways. And the thing was, like, it's interesting because now all I want to do is stand out. Like, and it's so important. And like as I've gotten older, I realize like our beauty is in our uniqueness. Our beauty is in the fact that we do stand out. And who the hell wants to be like everyone else? There's already a Bogi. Like I don't want to be a Bogi. I want to be a Barbie.
Right.
Like I want to be true to who I am. And yes, I swear and drink ratchet beer. I've got a cigar over here that's gonna get lit pretty soon. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's just like I'm me, and I'm dirty most of the time. This is the cleanest I've ever been in my shop. But
I love it.
Having those moments where like it was just sheer freaking awfulness, man. Like, and I go into a lot more detail in that podcast.
Yeah.
But it's all those low times. It's all that negativity. I literally, like, I feel like my art is so good today, in my opinion, because I can pour my feelings into my art. And that's how I can, like, I talk better through my art, I think, than I do verbally, right? So I can talk a mile a minute. I can translate my feelings through my art. So if you see something and it's just like my last one, I've got her sitting over there, and I did show her a little bit this morning on live stream, but it's my lone wolf. It's me.
Yeah.
Right. And so I have another one, the sad angel, like that's me. And I have this, like, I literally just sculpt myself and my feelings come out. So all that depression that I went through, like, what a blessing. Like now during the time, it doesn't feel like it.
Totally.
But I sculpt that, right? I sculpt my feelings. And so our art's given me that outlet that I never had. Like, like where I was looking for drugs and looking for it in alcohol and everything else. And it comes through in the art so much. It's like such a healthy way for my outlet, for my obsessive behavior, my addictive behavior, just like all this gone into the metal.
Well, I want to acknowledge and thank you for being so honest and open and sharing all of that, because that's, we as we talked about before, it's stuff that like people like to not show that stuff, right? Like we don't tell those parts of the story because we don't want anybody to know, or we think it's embarrassing or whatever. And yet, as somebody just pointed out, like there's a lot of people who need to hear that and hear that you were able to turn that around, which means they can too. And I think there's something, unifying about the building with your hands and making with your hands, right?
Yeah.
Like, because you're literally harnessing this like superpower, whether it's building, with wood, whether it's working with metal, whether you're baking amazing cakes, whether you're crocheting, like whatever it is, like when you make with your hands, there's like this thing that is so empowering that says like I did that. And if I can do that, what else can I do? You know? So you say, I hear you say that it's welding, and I heard some other comments, or sorry, saw some comments echo that, like welding is everything, right? And it's true. It's, but it's not just welding, it's making.
It's making. I agree with you. Any kind of creation, because like I used to work in the shop with my dad when I was a kid. My dad, like in his spare time, would do woodworking, and so like he'd like pull some ratchet dresser off the side of the road. He'd tear it apart, and then he'd make this beautiful jewelry box out of it. And so he'd set me on the side, like I was really little, and he's like, "Here's a hammer and nails, go pound shit." You know, it's like it would let me get my aggression out that way. And there is like, you know, there's just some kind of, I don't know. It probably goes back to like our roots and like the art of like was it like cavemen and stuff like that. I mean, like the art goes all the way back to that. Like they made, they did, they, you know, and like today we don't have as like with technology, we're the laziest people that have ever existed. Like, trust me, I love shopping on Amazon. I am also like, I'm on point with that. Like I'm all over it. But we're still like, we're not as physical creatures as we used to be.
Yeah.
And that I'm not a doctor. I didn't stay at a Motel 6 last night. But my humble opinion is when you get out and you start doing stuff, whether it's, you know, canoeing or you're fishing or you're squeezing clay and you're sculpting stuff with clay, you're drawing, it's like, it's that making and doing that, you know, like, and I used to run around the woods with sticks and like pretend to shoot my friends with the sticks. Like that was our fun. Like they do it on the video games now. Like we had that physical activity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these guys play like whatever the you know the BMX game is, and I built ratchet ramps and we jumped shit and pretended we were Evel Knievel. It's like we were a very active, you know, my neighborhood, like we were super active.
Yeah.
And I think like there's, you know, people say there's a correlation between social media and depression, but it's, I think I beg to differ. Like I think social media is amazing if it's used right. Look at the people I get to connect with. You know, it's incredible. Like, deeply.
Well, it's like anything, right?
But
It's a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
Like it
Yes.
it is, because social media hasn't changed human nature. It's just magnified and put a mirror to it.
Ooh, I like that. Oh,
Right?
I like
Because
that.
like we always compared ourselves to the Joneses, right? It was always, oh, his lawn is nicer than mine, or I need to get a better fence because he has a better fence, right? We've been doing that since the dawn of time, right? It's so now we're just doing it on a bigger scale. But I think there's benefits too. Like when I was first coming up in the automotive world, social media didn't exist, right? Like I didn't have a way of knowing that a you existed, right? And I will never forget what you said. The first thing you ever said to me. Do you remember our first phone conversation?
Was it the fact that like, oh my God, you said the F word, so we has become very best friends?
Well, there was that too. But the very first thing that Barbie said to me, I will never forget it. I was in the airport because you you called me up right as I was getting ready to get on a plane, and you said, I am 40 years old and I have never met another woman like me.
Yeah.
And I thought I was the only one. And and that's what life pre-social media was. Like unless you read a newspaper article or a magazine article about another female tradesperson, we would never know. But so now there's like the benefit of social media is I see you and I get to meet you and I get to know you exist and know that I'm not an only, right? So that's powerful. But the flip side is all the rest of the pieces, right?
I think having that, like, and that's something you gave me going out to that build in 2017 for the Chevy montage. I mean, one, like, you're batshit crazy for doing it, and two, I love you for thinking big like that. Like, oh my gosh, right? I thought I was the only batshit crazy lady.
Oh
so,
no, I'm
again,
right
another only one. You gave me a tribe, and that's your word, not mine. You gave me a tribe of women who freaking get me, right? So, like, I'm the girl, like, I will, okay, so maybe I ask someone else to make me a sandwich because I'm not that good at it. But, like, I'll take a sandwich and I'll put it down on the tire and I'll go weld some shit and I'll come back to the sandwich and I'll eat it with my grubby mitts. And I met all kinds of other women that did the same damn thing. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, I'm not the only one. And that, and gosh, like, as a first mechanic and then a welder, I've almost always been the only girl. There was another woman that taught me to weld when I first started. That wasn't a good one. I'll bring it up again for a vote. But I'm used to be the only woman. And because I dealt with so much sexism in the automotive industry, I started to defeminitize myself. And what I mean by that is I stopped, which I've always been a tomboy, but I really just kind of went to the opposite end of the spectrum. I really just was like the flannel shirts and like wearing baggy clothes. And I just wanted to be seen for my skills, like not because I'm a girl, like just respect the skills and respect the work ethic. And totally just went and defeminitized myself. And getting into welding, I was still there. You know, I've always been a jeans and jeans and Carhartts and steel toe boots and Guns N' Roses t-shirt girl. Like I've literally dressed like that since like 7th grade. So like I'm still jeans and t-shirts. But the thing was, I freaking hated myself, and that was part of my depression. I hated myself for being a woman because I wasn't seen as a person with skills. I was seen as a woman. So it was the bane of my existence. But coming out to the build and meeting you and all the other women who are just like handling your shit, but with elegance and like femininity, like owning your femininity and handling your shit. You talk about earlier about giving someone permission. I came home and I'm like, no shit, I'm a fucking girl. Like, who, I'm saying? Like, it literally, it just gave me a permission. It gave me permission to be the woman I already am. And it allowed me to love myself. It gave me permission to love myself too. Like, I don't have to get mad at myself for being a girl anymore. Like, I could be a girl and weld. And because I'm a girl welding, I'm going to bring something different to welding that men wouldn't, because I have femininity. So once again, it ends up being like this beautiful gift that was the bane of my existence.
Yeah.
And ends up being just like one of the most beautiful gifts I've ever been given.
And I totally relate. I think there's a little bit of, it's kind of human nature, right? When you don't know any other women in the industry, when you don't see anybody else who looks like you don't, and people are questioning you, right? Because I experienced the same thing coming up. I didn't know any other female mechanics. I was always the first woman working at the shop, and I was being treated differently because I was a girl, and felt like, okay, well, if I play down the fact that I'm a girl, right? If I wear oversized clothing, if I wear sports bras or ace bandages that bind my boobs so nobody sees them, if I look like a dude, then maybe they'll respect me differently. Ooh, what was that?
There was a fly by my beer. I was like, oh, what's that? It's green. And I touched it. It was a fly.
She's total badass, but did you see her jump at that fly, though? Did you see that? Love you, girl.
Hey, scream like a girl. Nailed it. Like, for fuck's sake, what is that? Like, it was like
a fly.
I'm at my bench. There's always metal. I'm like, what's green on my bench? There's a really pretty green color.
Oh my goodness. I love it. So somebody asked, and I want to touch on it. What was it? What happened that had you leave being a mechanic?
Oh my gosh, great question. God, the final straw, like, so I went shop to shop. I'll make it short for you. The final straw was, I was in my first marriage at the time, and the dude was pretty big and fighty. That's a word.
Totally.
And at the shop I was working at, which was the best job at that time I had ever held, I was a service writer for a local auto dealership. And the other guy that was a service writer that was in charge of me pushed me in the corner with his pants on, but still like pushed me in the corner like that, and was like pushing up on me. And I finally got out from around him, and I went and I told the one lady that was our warranty specialist, and I was like, hey, this is what happened. And she told me no one's going to believe me because everyone loves this guy. And I was like, I have two choices, because I can leave the job, because fuck that. And two, I can go tell my husband, who's very fighty and very large, and would kill this guy. And at the time, I liked my husband and didn't want him to catch a murder charge. So I left the job. But like that was a final straw. Like I dealt with a bunch of sexism up to that. That one there was just like over the top for me. And I'm just like, I was young. And like even like I went to like then this woman is older, right? So I like go to this older woman who I feel like is like gonna have my back and like is gonna understand, and you know, who knows what her reasoning was behind it. But yeah, I left on that note. And so when it was time, like when I found out through Miller and through Bogi that they were doing the all girls build, I'm like, I need to go back into the automotive industry on a good note and leave on my terms, because it was something that it was my first love. Like auto mechanics was my first love.
Yeah. And I want other people out there to hear, like you're sadly, and I'm so heartbroken that happened to you, right?
I'm not like, it's shitty, but here's the deal. Like at the time, it was heart crushing. Looking back, like what a blessing. Because had that not happened, maybe I'd still be there and I wouldn't be here today. And like
Totally.
every single thing that we go through, like I'm that like that stupid positive. It's not stupid. Like I'm that positive person. The fly's back. And and
But I want to be clear, like, yes, you wouldn't be where you are today, right? None of us would be who we are without any of the things that happened in our past. And so it's not shaming or regretting or, right? I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't have all of the experiences that I've been through. However, that shouldn't have happened, right?
agree.
That's not okay.
God,
That shouldn't have
100%.
happened. And it's happening still to so many people. And I think it's really, really important for people to hear, like if that is you, if you are in that situation and you've been told nobody's going to believe you, right? Or you've been shamed into silence, or you think that nobody's going to believe you, you tell somebody first of all. And if they don't believe you, so be it. Like go somewhere else, right? Go find it. There are good shops out there.
Love and respect. There are so many shops out there that are looking for quality welders, quality auto mechanics, quality tradespeople. There are people out there. And listen, just, yeah, love and respect, man. You need to be treated with love and respect, or you need to kick rocks. And like I said, I would have done the same thing today. In fact, I probably would have sicked my, no, I might have sicked my husband on it. He's my ex now. He didn't need my help to go to jail. Yeah. I'm just kidding. But it's just like, you need to honor yourself. And if they don't honor you, then you take your shit somewhere else. Because there's so many people, there are so many shops that will honor you for your skills and your talent. And they won't see this, that, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not about color or anything else. It's about like, it's the skills that the person brings to the table.
Yeah, and that's not to say that there's plenty of shops that will judge you based on your gender or your race or your age or how you look, or and it still exists, right? Yeah, that a girl. Like it still happens 100%, but I think it's important to know like that there are other places out there, right?
Yeah, it does. I was shocked because when I went into welding, I really thought I hesitated on taking a job in welding. My teacher had to force me to go fill out the application, and actually took our entire shop on a field trip to the place he wanted me to apply for, because I wouldn't go and see them. Because of the sexism I dealt with in the automotive industry, I assumed welding was the same. Now I got into welding and was blessed, which this is bullshit to have to even say it, but was blessed with a shop that was just deeply supportive of me, right? And having that experience, like, so when I like come out to you guys, like I assumed, because the shop that I got hired in, like no one was sexist, like I didn't deal with any bullshit, just totally was, I was deeply respected for my skills.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
That's how it should be. But it was like I assumed that there was no sexism in the welding industry until I get out to you guys and then meet the other ladies that are dealing with it. Like same shit I was dealing. And I'm thinking, dude, what the frick is going on? That it's just like, it's shocking to me in a way, because I've seen men that are just awful welders, and I've seen women that are awful welders, and I've seen,
Yeah,
women and men that are excellent welders. It's
totally.
not about the sex, it's about the skills, it's about the practice, and it's about the craftsmanship that someone puts behind it. It don't matter whether you're purple, yellow, blue, or green. Like, bring your skills. And I don't get why someone with common sense, and maybe that's what's lacking. Like, it's just
Well,
so hard for me to be like, how could you like turn someone down that's doing it? I was talking to a young lady last night out in Chicago that is a welder and has dealt with a ton of sexism. And I'm just like, girl, walk. Like,
right.
walk. Do not.
Well,
Do not
I'm gonna bring it
settle
full
for
circle.
anything less.
I'm going to bring it full circle because we were talking at the very beginning of this happy hour about our parents or support system, like their fear when we do something wild and crazy, right? And I think honestly, like a lot of the sexism and the racism and the isms and the like all of the stuff that we've experienced, that so many people are experiencing, it's like kind of the topic on the lips of everybody right now. Like so much of it, I feel like comes from fear, right? Like it comes from fear. This is my domain. You don't belong here, or I'm fearful that maybe you'll be better than me, or right.
Then step your game up. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Like,
I know. I know.
it's just it's so weird to think of that, right? Because like if I'm worried that there's, which I don't even think about it. Like I guess I'm way different. I guess because I'm just like I know I don't have any competition. There's no other Barbie out there. There are sculptors who are way the freak better than I am, right? And I know that. But I know that I have no competition because my art is so unique. It's unique to me, the style in which I create, how I do it, who I am, like all of that. And every single individual on the planet is just like that. There are, thousands of auto mechanics, but everyone has their uniqueness. Everyone has a special skill that they bring.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, it's just so wild to think that, which I mean, like, I guess it's because I'm not a man, so I can't think of it from a man's aspect, but I can understand the fact, like, so like my brother's used to taking care of his family. Like that's his role, is to provide for his family. And for him to have a girlfriend that is totally capable of providing for herself, it's a little bit different for him. You know what I'm saying? You want a strong woman until you get one.
Yep, absolutely. Uh, I saw a couple of comments that scrolled by of relating to what you were saying and saying that they were in a similar position right now. And I can't say enough. Like, both Barbie and I have both been in crappy work environments in our life. We have both experienced sexism. We've both experienced being underestimated.
I love being underestimated.
I do too. I've learned to embrace it,
Please.
but I want to make sure that like those out there who need to hear this. A, you are not alone. You are not alone. You are not alone. And B, there are a ton of other places out there. If you love doing whatever it is you are doing, whether it's automotive, whether it's welding, whether it's crocheting, right? Whatever it is, don't let anybody stop you from doing it. If it's what fills your spirit and sets your heart on fire, go find a shop that's going to respect you. Go find a shop that's going to appreciate and value, because they are out there. They are out there. Don't let somebody put out your fire.
Connect with one of us. Like, send one of us a message if you guys are dealing with it. I have a huge connection of people in the welding industry, and I'm happy. Like, if you're looking for a shop in a certain area, message me, because I can help put you in contact with someone who will appreciate your skills.
Totally.
And at the very least, I could be there for you and be like, I get you. I understand what you're going through.
Yeah.
I think having a support group like Bogi did, like Bogi made a tribe of women, and like, I'm having a tough day. Like, I call my girl, I'm like, Bogi, I'm having a tough day. Like, I have a support group, and it's only through those connections that do help me get through, like, when I am frustrated or when I can't figure something out. So get yourself a connection. Like, I know Instagram is just an amazing hotbed of welding activity, an amazing support of welders. There's a huge family of welders there. And if that's what you got, and auto mechanics and all tradesmen, just find your tribe. Like, and that's Bogi's words. That's not mine. Like, that's Bogi's words. Like, find your tribe and then stick to them like glue. But look for support and ask for support when you need it. And if you're not, like she said, if you're not getting the respect at your shop, like, do your due diligence, like try, and it's so difficult because it's like if I say something, they're gonna think I'm a bitch. Like that's a hard thing there.
Right.
Like, are they gonna think I'm this or are they gonna think I'm that? So like I definitely I struggle deeply with that. Like, should I say something? And there's a couple shops like because I've dealt with bullies all my life, like I ignored some of it because like the whole like, you know, even as a grown woman, mostly, even as a grown woman, I'm still just like I have that little girl inside of me that is scared of bullies. Now, I did stand up to one and it solved a lot of shit. That wasn't healthy. That's a story for another day.
I know. We only have an hour.
But it's, you know, it's like you have to figure out, because it's such a challenge. Like, should I say something? Like, if the situation is where, like, you are fearful for your safety, say something. If they don't handle it, get the freak out, man. And, like, get out fast. There are jobs and there are people that are looking for the talented and skilled people that will honor exactly who you are, and you won't have to change who you are, you know, and that's how it should be. And I think, you know, hopefully, like the positives of social media, more women are seeing women out there doing the trades and seeing the benefits of them. And it's not just financial, which it is financial, but there's a huge emotional benefit.
Totally.
When you're in a great position, when you're in a great job that you love, because you feel that love. But, you know,
and more men are seeing it too. So we're less of an oddball when they see us in the shop, right?
I like that too.
Right.
This next generation, I think, is going to change stuff because the younger generation, I feel like my kids' age, they're so accepting.
Totally.
Like, when I was in high school, no one was gay. Like, no one was, which we know is not true, but I mean, like,
they weren't out.
Very taboo, right? It was very taboo. And now it's just like people are so accepting of who people are. And I do feel like that's going to translate. My hope for the world is that will translate to everybody, to everything, to the jobs and the careers. And understand that a man can be a nurse, a man can be an amazing nurse, you know, like much better than I could ever think about being, right? But it's just like women make amazing auto mechanics and they make amazing, you know, brain surgeons or whatever else that they are. Like anyone could do anything.
I think you're so right. Like, I'm excited for the next generation because it's the kids. Like, I tell a 50-year-old man or woman what I do for a living, and they're like, "You what?" But I tell a 10-year-old what I do for a living, and they're like, "Okay, cool. So what?" Right? Like, it's no big thing. They're not shocked by it, right?
When I was setting up and I was selling at shows, selling my art at shows, I'd set up every week and I'd sit there in my booth and I'd be sitting there with my stuff and they're like, "Oh, this is nice. Does your husband make it?" I'm just like, yes, he does. I just sell for him because I'm not capable. My big pen for women.
Oh, big pens for women.
I don't know if you remember that picture, Bogi. I just found that picture the other day. The big pen for women. Like, oh my God. Like,
for those of you who don't know what this reference is, Google Bic pens for women.
Go on Amazon
and read the reviews. There was a whole thing where Bic released pens for women because apparently women can't write with regular pens. So it was this whole thing about specifically pens for women, and it was quite an entertaining comment thread and review thread.
If you're ever feeling down, just go look at Amazon reviews for Bic pen for women. Oh my gosh, I'll have tears in my eyes just thinking about it. It is the hilariousness.
It is hilariousness. Oh my God.
It's the funniest shit that I think I've ever read in my entire life.
Oh my God. Okay, so really quickly, I have to interrupt you because it is 5:54, which means, 5:54 Arizona time, which means we have six minutes left before Instagram shuts us down. So I want to ask you two things. One, somebody asked me to ask you to explain the octopus in the background, tell the story of the octopus. Can you do that in a nutshell?
I can. This is a corpsopus.
A corpsopus.
A corpsopus. So I am always having tools all over my bench. It's usually a mess. And so I decided that I was going to make this very simple tool caddy. And I was going to do like this kind of like rainbow, like basically like this rainbow shape. And I was going to put all my air tools on it, like just like in this shape to make them organized and out of the way. And this 2-hour job turned into a 3-day, like I need to make a, like halfway through it, I started design it and I go, oh my goodness. And here comes the corpsopus. And so now he holds all my pneumatic tools. And it is like one of my favorite things ever.
I love it.
I get to make art that I get to keep. I love it.
I absolutely love it. Okay, last thing, very quickly. If you had to say one sentence of advice to the younger version of you,
ooh,
what would you say?
Ooh, dream huge. Like continue to dream huge and do whatever it takes to go after your dreams. Absolutely.
Awesome. I love it. Oh my gosh, we have 4 minutes left. So I want to thank everybody who tuned in for tuning in. I want to encourage you all to check out Barbie the Welder on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok, on all of the things. Check her out, follow her, give her some love, support this woman. And I saw some questions specific about selling art, about making art, about shop supplies and metalwork. Reach out to her. She's got a couple of books that are perfect for you. She's also always down to answer people's questions and support the community. And so please reach out to her, give her a follow, give her some love, and maybe we'll have her come back again sometime soon. Everybody who joined in, thank you so much for joining in, and Barbie, particularly you. Cheers, my dear.
Cheers, Bogi. Thank you so very much for giving me this opportunity. I love talking with you always, and we always have the best conversation. So this has just been wonderful. So again, anyone, if you guys are struggling with depression, if self-esteem stuff, if you're dealing with sexism and stuff, message me. You guys can email me at barbiethewelder@yahoo.com or message me through here on Instagram. I'll do my best to get back a hold of you as fast as possible. But I love connecting with people, and if I can help you in any possible way, like I want to be there for you.
And if nothing else, know you're not alone.
By myself, and to have someone be there for me would have meant the world. And so it is part of my mission to do whatever I can to be there for others. And Bogi, I can't thank you enough for all that you've done for me individually as a human being, that you've mentored me and guided me and given me the best advice. You've always given me the best advice. And I'm so grateful for all that you do for the women in the trades, and that you encourage and give them a really safe place to come into the trades and show them it's accessible and that it is awesome. So thank you for all that you do, hon. I appreciate it.
It's a two-way street, girl. And I appreciate and adore you. And this is probably the shortest conversation we've ever had. An hour. It's crazy.
Where's our 3.5 hours?
We're going to have to do more of this. All right. I love you. I appreciate you. We will do this again. Love you all for tuning in. Thank you so much. And we'll be back here next week, same time, same place, with a new amazing guest. You'll just have to tune in to find out who. All right.
Awesome.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Mwah.